There's a moment in every man's life when silence starts to feel heavy. You sit in your room, lights off, phone in your hand, and somewhere in between the scrolling and the sighs, you realize you've become someone you don't even recognize anymore. The fire that once kept you alive is gone. All that's left is a shell breathing, existing, pretending. You tell yourself, I'll fix it tomorrow. But tomorrow feels exactly like today. You've said it so many times that even your soul has stopped believing it. The same routine, same cycle, same excuses, until even your dreams forget your name. That's the truth most people will never say out loud. They don't lose their potential overnight. They bleed it slowly, every time they choose comfort over challenge, every time they pick distraction instead of discipline, every time they let that weak version of themselves take control. And he loves it, that weak version inside you. He's patient. He knows how to talk. He doesn't yell, he whispers. He says, it's fine, rest a little more. You deserve a break. Don't push too hard, you'll burn out. But he's lying. He doesn't care about your peace. He cares about your control. He's the voice that wants you soft, slow, and harmless. He's the one who makes you scroll for hours, waiting for a burst of motivation that never comes. He's the one who tells you you're doing okay, when deep down, you know you're not. And every time you believe him, every time you give in, he gets stronger. You think it's harmless, but that weak voice is a silent killer. It kills your urgency. It kills your hunger. It kills that insane drive that made you dangerous once. And one day you wake up and realize you've become a man who used to have potential. Look around. Most people you see, they're not alive. They're running on autopilot, waking up just to repeat the same cycle again and again. Dreams replaced by deadlines. Purpose replaced by comfort. Fire replaced by a flickering screen. That's not life. That's survival. And you're standing right in the middle of that battlefield. Two versions of you pulling from opposite sides. One wants to grow. One wants to rest. One wants pain. One wants pleasure. One wants to build. One wants to scroll. And the war never stops. You think you're tired because of work, because of stress, because of people. No. You're tired because you're carrying both versions of yourself, the warrior and the coward, and you keep switching between them every day. The truth is simple but brutal. Until you kill that weak version, you will never taste freedom. You'll build momentum, then lose it. You'll start again, then quit again. You'll talk about discipline and grind, but you'll still sleep next to your excuses. Because the weak version of you doesn't die easily. He knows your triggers. He knows your fears. He knows every lie you've ever told yourself, and he uses them against you. He's not out there. He's in here. Inside your head. Inside your habits. Inside your comfort. And if you don't control him, he will control your destiny. That's why I say the real enemy was never outside. It was the man in the mirror. The one who flinches when life hits hard. The one who waits for motivation instead of building it. The one who settles, apologizes, and obeys. He's the one you have to kill. Not with violence, but with discipline, with silence, with relentless action, with a kind of consistency that makes his existence unbearable. You can't negotiate with weakness. You can't compromise with comfort. You have to starve it. When your alarm rings and that voice says, sleep more, you don't argue. You rise. When your mind says, You've done enough. You go one more rep. When your emotions say you're tired, you remind yourself you've been tired your whole life. But now, you're tired of being weak. That's where transformation begins. When the pain of staying the same becomes louder than the fear of change. Because this war isn't about motivation. It's about domination. You versus you. You can't inspire your way out of weakness. You can't think positive your way out of self-sabotage. You have to burn it. You have to destroy the part of you that craves comfort more than greatness. And that starts here, right now, this second. This video isn't another speech to make you feel good. It's a mirror, showing you everything you could be. If you just stop protecting the weak one inside you, he's lived long enough. He's had his time. Now it's your turn, because in the end, only one of you can survive. The weak one, or the warrior. You weren't born weak. You were trained to become this way. From the moment you opened your eyes in this world, you were taught to play safe, to obey, to blend in, to avoid mistakes. Every time you tried to do something bold as a kid, someone said, "Don't do that. You'll get hurt. That's not practical." And little by little, you started shrinking. You learned that being average keeps you accepted, while being different makes you dangerous. So you stopped taking risks. You stopped speaking your truth. You stopped trying too hard, because trying hard and failing hurts more than not trying at all. And that's how the weak version of you was born. Not in one day, but in the small, silent moments of surrender. When you chose comfort over courage. When you chose approval over authenticity. When you started chasing peace instead of purpose. You built a prison, and then learned to call it normal life. Look around. The world doesn't raise warriors anymore. It raises consumers. Men who can't sit with silence without opening a screen. Men who can't handle discomfort without finding a distraction. The system doesn't want you strong. It wants you occupied, scrolling, shopping, surviving. And it's smart. It feeds your weakness while making you believe it's freedom. They give you endless entertainment and call it relaxation. They give you instant pleasure and call it self-care. They give you comfort and call it happiness. But it's all just a trap. Every dopamine hit, every little like, every easy escape, it keeps you numb enough to never ask, what the hell happened to me? Because if you did, you'd realize the truth. You're not lazy. You're addicted to ease, to comfort, to validation. You've trained your brain to avoid pain at all costs. And the moment something feels uncomfortable, your mind runs back to safety. That's why you procrastinate. That's why you can't stay consistent. That's why you start with fire and end with excuses. It's not a lack of willpower. It's a pattern repeated so many times that now it's your personality. You're not even fighting the world anymore. You're fighting your own wiring. Think about it. How many times have you felt the urge to change your life? To finally get serious, hit the gym, build something, go all in? And for a few days, you do. You feel alive again. You start building momentum. You start to think, maybe this time I'll make it. But then the weak one returns. He shows up disguised as logic. You've been working hard. Take a break. You're not seeing results yet. Maybe it's not worth it. You're too tired today. Start again tomorrow. And you believe him. Every time. He's clever. He doesn't scream, he negotiates. He doesn't fight, he convinces. And that's why you lose. Because you think discipline means fighting laziness. But in reality, it means fighting your own softness. And softness is seductive. It It feels warm. It feels safe. It makes you feel like you're taking care of yourself, while it's slowly draining your edge, your energy, your hunger. You start accepting mediocrity, not because you like it, but because it's familiar. Familiar feels safe. Safe feels right. But it's not right, it's rotting you from the inside. The weak version of you doesn't want you to suffer. But he doesn't realize that growth and suffering are the same thing. You can't evolve without friction. You can't build muscle without pain. You can't become mentally unbreakable without facing resistance. But the weak one, he avoids everything that hurts. And in doing so, he avoids everything that transforms. He wants results, but not the struggle. He wants strength, but not the sweat. He wants peace, but not the war. And that's why you keep spinning in circles. You get moments of clarity, but never transformation. Because clarity is nothing without confrontation. Until you face the weak one, until you look him in the eye, you'll never truly grow. Here's the brutal truth. You can't build a new life with the same mindset that destroyed your old one. You can't expect strength while protecting the part of you that fears pain. The weak one doesn't disappear because you decide to change. He dies only when you starve him, when you stop feeding him excuses, comfort, and sympathy. Because that's the biggest mistake most people make. They try to heal their weak version, when in reality, he was never meant to heal. He was meant to die. And that's the problem. Most people spend their lives keeping their weakness alive, calling it self-acceptance, calling it mental health, calling it taking it easy. But deep down, they know the truth. They're not taking it easy. They're running away from their own potential. They're terrified of what they could become if they actually gave everything. Because deep down, every man knows there's something inside him that's built for war, built to conquer, built to create, built to go beyond. But he can't access it because he's still protecting the weaker one. And the longer you protect him, the more control he takes. That's why this video, this message, this moment isn't just about self-improvement. It's about rebellion against your habits, against your excuses, against every version of you that accepted less than what you were meant for. The problem was never the world. The problem was never motivation. The problem was you fighting for both sides. You can't keep trying to be disciplined while still comforting your weakness. You can't build a kingdom while protecting the traitor inside the walls. It's time to see it clearly. You're not losing because you're incapable. You're losing because you're too comfortable being almost great. That's the disease. Not laziness, not fear, but comfort disguised as peace. And until you face that truth, you'll keep killing your own potential, one easy decision at a time. So now you know the truth. You know the weak version wasn't born in one day, and he's not going to die in one either. He's been fed for years, fed by comfort, fed by habits, fed by your mercy. So now it's time to starve him. And it won't be pretty. It won't be poetic. It'll be war-silent, personal, and relentless. Because real transformation doesn't happen when you feel inspired. It happens when you run out of excuses. 1. Silence is the first weapon. You don't need more motivation. You need silence. Because silence exposes everything you've been avoiding. When you remove noise, no music, no reels, no distractions, you'll start to hear the voice of the weak one. The one who says, I can't do this. What's the point? It's too late. And in that silence, you'll realize something powerful. He's terrified of being seen. He only survives in noise and distraction. Take away the noise, and he suffocates. So sit in the silence. Let it burn. Let it remind you who you were before the world told you to play small. That's where strength starts, when you can sit with your demons long enough to stop running from them. 2. Pain is the purifier. You can't rebuild yourself without pain. Pain is not punishment, it's the process. Every time you push through discomfort, you're sending a message to your mind. I'm in control now. You wake up early even when you're exhausted. You train even when it hurts. You work when nobody's watching. You stop chasing validation. And day by day, the weak version starts losing air. Because he can't survive in pain. He needs comfort. He needs ease. He needs softness. So the moment you start doing what's uncomfortable, you start choking him out. That's how warriors are built. Not through hype, but through controlled suffering. Pain is the currency of transformation. You pay with struggle and you buy power. 3. Discipline, the destroyer of weakness. Motivation fades. Emotion changes. But discipline, that's permanent armor. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care if it's raining, if you're tired, if nobody believes in you. Discipline shows up anyway. That's what kills the weak version. When you stop asking for permission from your emotions, you start moving without mood. You act without waiting for the right time. You become consistent when everyone else is inconsistent. Discipline is not punishment, it's freedom. Because once you build it, you never have to rely on motivation again. When you're disciplined, you don't need to feel ready. You just move. And every day you move, the weak version fades a little more. He can't survive in consistency. He drowns in it. 4. Isolation, your forge of fire. You can't kill weakness in the same environment that created it. Sometimes you need to disappear, not from the world, but from its noise. Be alone, not lonely alone. In solitude, your mind becomes your mirror. You'll see exactly who you are without filters, without distractions, without applause. Most people fear being alone because it forces them to meet themselves. But that's exactly where you must go. When you isolate, you reset. You stop being influenced by weak energy, by opinions, by the expectations of others. Isolation is where the warrior version is reborn. In quiet rooms, in long nights, in hours of doing the work nobody sees. That's where you stop being who you were and start becoming who you're meant to be. 5. Repetition, the rebirth process. Killing the weak version isn't a one-time act. It's a ritual done every single day. You kill him when you wake up and do what you said you'd do. You kill him when you say no to distraction. You kill him when you train even though nobody claps. You kill him when you choose action over emotion. And the beautiful part, every time he dies, a stronger you is born in his place. You'll feel it. Your thoughts sharpen. Your energy returns. Your standards rise. You'll stop chasing easy things because your soul will crave challenge again. That's how you know the transformation is real, when comfort starts to disgust you. 6. Purpose, the final weapon. Once you've burned the weak one, you can't live without direction, because strength without purpose is just noise. You need a reason to stay sharp, a mission that's bigger than you. Maybe it's to build something, to protect someone, to become a man your younger self would respect. Whatever it is, anchor to it. Because purpose is what keeps the fire alive after the storm passes. Without purpose, discipline becomes routine. But with purpose, discipline becomes destiny. 7. The daily war. Don't think once you kill him, he's gone forever. No. He'll crawl back every morning, every night, whispering, "Take it easy." That's the trap. Weakness never dies permanently. It waits. It watches. It's patient. That's why you must live like a warrior, always aware, always ready, never too comfortable. Every day is a fight to stay awake, to stay sharp, to remember who the hell you are. You don't win once, you win daily. Because this isn't just about killing weakness. It's about becoming the kind of man who never lets it return. And that version of you, the one who walks through pain with silence, who doesn't beg for motivation, who builds instead of complains, he's dangerous, untouchable, unstoppable. That's the real transformation. Not loud, not flashy, but cold, controlled, powerful. The world won't notice it at first, but one day they'll look at you, and they won't recognize the man you've become, because the weak one they used to know is dead. You've spent your whole life running from pain, from pressure, from the weight of your own potential. And look where it's got you. Comfortable but empty. Safe but silent. Alive but not really living. You've played the game the world told you to play. And it cost you yourself. But deep down, you know something's wrong. You can feel it. That quiet voice inside that says, "I was meant for more." That's not arrogance. That's truth trying to wake you up. Because there's still something in you that refuses to die. That part of you that remembers how it felt to want something so badly it scared you. How it felt to believe you could change. How it felt to have fire in your eyes. He's still there, buried under layers of excuses, fear, and guilt. Waiting, watching, begging for one more chance to breathe. But here's the thing, he's not coming back on his own. You have to bring him back. And that means you have to kill everything that's been killing him. The weak one, the complainer, the procrastinator, the man who's been lying to himself every single day. He has to die. Because every time you skip your goals, every time you hide from responsibility, every time you say tomorrow, you stab your own potential. And you've done it enough times. Enough. This is where it ends. Right here. Right now. Not because you're motivated, but because you're finally angry enough to stop being average. The death ritual. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to tell anyone. You just start. Start cutting off every habit that makes you weak. Start removing everything that feeds your comfort. Start living like a man who has nothing to prove, but everything to build. Don't post about it. Don't talk about it. Don't brag. Just disappear and rebuild yourself in silence. Let the world think you quit. Let them think you failed. While they're laughing, you're transforming. You're bleeding in silence. You're rising in darkness. You're becoming someone they'll never understand because you'll stop being a man who talks about discipline and become the man who is disciplined. You'll stop chasing motivation and start creating movement. You'll stop asking, "How do I stay consistent?" Because consistency will become your identity. And one day you'll look back and realize something powerful. That weak version of you didn't die because you hated him. He died because you outgrew him. He couldn't survive in the world you built, in the standards you set, in the silence you mastered. No, I'm not telling you to like or subscribe. I'm telling you to make a promise. to yourself. A silent contract that says, I will never let comfort control me again. I will not break for easy things. I will not negotiate with weakness. Every time that old voice whispers, you've done enough, you'll remember this moment, the moment you buried him. This isn't motivation. This is memory. The memory of who you used to be, and the man you swore you'd never return to. That's what keeps you moving when it's dark. That's what keeps you training when you're tired. That's what keeps you disciplined when nobody's clapping. Because you're not doing it for validation anymore. You're doing it because this is who you are now. The war doesn't end, and it never will. But that's not something to fear, that's something to honor. Every morning you wake up, you face the same choice again. To be weak or to rise. And every time you choose to rising, the weak version loses another piece of ground. You'll still fall sometimes. You'll still feel lost. But even in those moments, you'll notice something different. You won't stay down as long. Because real strength isn't about a never falling. It's about how fast you stand back up. And when you do, when you rise again after failure, after heartbreak, after losing faith, that's when the new you breathes deeper. He doesn't break anymore. He bends, he burns, but he doesn't break. Because he knows he's already been through hell. And he didn't die there. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to be real. To wake up every day knowing you're stronger than yesterday. You won't get applause for this. You won't get followers. You won't get instant results. But you'll get something more valuable. Respect from the man in the mirror. That's the real reward. When you can look at yourself and say, I didn't fold today. I didn't quit today. I didn't feed my weakness today. That's victory. That's power. That's peace. So this is it. The last goodbye to the old you. He lived scared. He lived small. He lived waiting for the perfect time. And now, he's gone. The man standing in his place, he's not chasing the world anymore. He's building his own. He doesn't seek peace, he becomes it. He doesn't wait for motivation, he acts without it. He doesn't talk about becoming stronger, he is stronger. Because the weak one died, and the warrior was born. And when you finish this video, don't say anything. Don't comment. Don't post a quote. Just sit there. Feel that silence. That's not emptiness. That's power forming. Now take it. Carry it. And tomorrow morning, when the alarm rings and the voice whispers, 5 more minutes, remember this. The weak one had his chance. This is your time now. Now go build the version of yourself that the old you only dreamed of becoming.